Thanks for tuning in. It's Sunday, July 7th when I recorded this video, and we're bringing you the results of MAGI. MAGI stands for Multi-Agent Generated Indicators. It's our proprietary machine learning set of algorithms trained on over 5 years worth of U.S. equities price action, and it predicts various stock moves. It does this by finding high probability patterns, moves that we could only hope to find if we had 1,000 agents working on our behalf, 1,000 humans or more. And we have even more than 1,000 math agents on our multi-agent actor-critic model. We're not going to get into how it works or how we created it, but we are sharing the data with you. Feel free to share it with your friends. We're not charging anything for it. We're not asking you for any of your personal information. But remember, we're not financial advisors. It's not financial advice. And we will dive in right now. Here's our shared file. I happen to be on the Puts by Triggered tab down here at the bottom, if you can see that. I can toggle over to Calls by Triggered. I'm not going into the details. If you want to see me break down how to read this file for you, go to the previous video. Let's take a look at performance. We'll start off here. Calls, long signals. We have nearly 3,000 of them that we've produced since, I think it was late January, early February when we went to this format. It might have actually even been March or towards the later part of February. But we were publishing these signals for you back in November of 2023, and we've been doing it for ourselves since 2019. And the person who developed it has been doing this since about 2016. And we are now codifying this into an automated trading robot that uses all of this information and places trades on its own. But I digress. Let's get into the performance only with regard to the actual signals and the high probability moves that MAGI sees. Puts and shorts, we have about half as many signals. What's interesting to me, though, is that the accuracy of puts is a bit higher than the accuracy of the calls, at least since February. So that is just something to take note of. Let's take a look at specific performance from the week before. Here were the signals granted from the week before on the 28th. Of those, you can see how many have reached their targets. So we have a 1% move for Adobe that reached its target. We have a 1.5, a 2%, and a 2.5% that reached its target on the 2nd of July. And we have the 3%, the 3.5%, and the 4% move that reached their targets on the 5th. And this last one is still active. Will it hit its target? Well, only time will reveal that truth. Let's take a look at APD. This one is still active all throughout. It's actually looking like it's going quite against us. But who knows? Maybe it's a late bloomer. Maybe that will come to fruition this week or next. We have yet another ticker for a 1% move. C for a 1% move. CRM, 1% move was hit. That was already made. We have a 1% active on EXPE. That hasn't been met. HD also looks like it's going kind of against us, or just kind of flat, really. Home Depot looks like it's coiling up, maybe getting ready for a move up. We'll see. HUM, that was met already on the 1st, the day after, the next trading day after the signal was issued. Intuit made its moves on the 5th, KMX, and we have MGM, which is still very active. That one's a curiosity to me. I'm going to guess that might actually not reach its target. We'll see. Again, this is just me guessing based on what I'm seeing in the charts. But remember, we're kind of the anti-technical analysis signal generator. We don't really use our technical analysis. We let the thousands and thousands of math robots determine what are the high probability moves. So we don't have to do all that arduous work in the first place. PNC is a 1% move here already met. So it shows you that, most of these signals, they reach within the first week, which is pretty cool. Let's look at the puts by triggered. Let's go ahead and look at the performance from last week. We've got 1% that was met. We have another 1% that was met. And we have extended 1.5% for CI that has not Oh yeah, it's been met. What am I saying? These have all been met. Okay, we've got E and PH met. That was a beautiful set of moves here. I mean, that was really quite the run. MAGI is really interesting in that it just got this 194.51 that hasn't been met. GIS, 1% met. Active is still HES and LEN. Met, NKE, Nike. And then from the previous day, we have a number that were met and a couple that are still active here. Caterpillar still active. That one also looking like it kind of went against us. Whether it coils up and then bounces off some bottom is yet to be determined. That does it for the performance. I'll just kind of come back here to this. You can look at each ticker's performance if you want to look at it that way. But the general performance dashboard is what I will end on for performance. Now, let's get into the new signals. So here, calls by triggered. We're going to go up to the top, generate on the 5th. We have Adobe. Adobe going to 4.5% move. It's still active. Now remember, Adobe had quite a nice move here. And the question is after a nice energetic run like that, does it take time for Adobe to coil back up? Will it go down and have a correction before it goes back up? These are the kind of things that if you're a trader, technical trader, you would try to come to that assessment yourself. Remember, this is just saying this is the probability I see. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's absolutely going to happen or that something else or a different direction is going to take place before it can go up. Or in this case, yeah, this calls by trigger, it's going up, longs. So let's go ahead and look at ADM, 1% move there, CRM. We have quite a move predicted for CRM, which I think is interesting. Again, CRM had a move that was met down here last week, and it had more than just that particular move. If you look at the stock history and the price history for Salesforce, which is that's what the ticker CRM stands for. So Salesforce could find a 5% call according to this, but again, we live in some very uncertain times with regard to our political climate, and I think it's probably good for you to consider whether or not CRM may have run its course energetically, at least for the short term, and maybe this doesn't happen right away. I don't know. I'm not giving you financial advice here. I'm just saying that when I look at these numbers, I'm thinking to myself, okay, that could be probable, but maybe it takes the entire 20 days that we look ahead for these moves. Maybe it doesn't happen in 2 days, for example. Okay, HUM looks like an upward move of 1.5% is predicted by MAGI. We've got IBM for a 1% move, and MGM still has this call move that was predicted, but remember, MGM down here is still active. It didn't go our way. It didn't go MAGI's way at all. In fact, if you look at the prediction, this is predicted to go to $46 down here last week, and this week, MGM is only now predicted to go to $44.12. It doesn't give us that extended target towards $46. So just kind of an interesting way to look at this, and I'm going to pause here to talk about when we don't see a price predicted that we did see the week before and the move hasn't gone our way. That does mean, it does suggest that MAGI no longer thinks that $46 is a valid target. We had last year, when we were trying to do all this on our website, inserted the tag invalidated when we would not get a reinforcement of that prior signal. So we're not doing that now. We're just kind of letting the data be as it will. And if it goes expired and doesn't go our way, then it counts against us, right? If it is inactivated, meaning that it's no longer seen, while that would actually increase our performance, and we don't want to do that. That gives you a false sense of the performance. So we want to give you the raw, unadulterated performance. It predicted this. It didn't happen. Never happened. It's a strike against MAGI. So we really want to be very truthful and very open about this. Our whole purpose was to use machine learning and set all of the ins, outs, have the robot monitor the progress, basically look at whether or not MAGI reinforced these signals. And if it didn't, then we were going to pull out of those positions. So we were building, and we will continue to build, but it's going slow because we've lost our primary developer. We're going to continue to build our automated trading platform. Its brains, its predictive brains, are what you see here. The results are what you see here. With the puts, let's take a look at the data here. The fifth is what we have here for ADP, AIG, APD, CAT, CI, etc. So we have a 1% move on ADP. We have a 1.5% move on AIG. We have a 1% move on APD, and Caterpillar has a 3.5% move down. And that's interesting because, of course, we had Caterpillar predicted to move down here on the 27th. Let's go ahead and look at CI. There is a 1.5% move for CI. CMI has 1%. We have 1% on CVX, 1% on DHR, 1% on DPZ. FSLR has a 1% move down. HES looking like a 2.5% move is predicted. LEN 1%, Oxy 1%. And that does it for the puts. Thank you very much for watching. We really appreciate your viewership.